Hey everyone, you are listening to episode 9 of Disney Channel Original Noobies. Today we are going to talk about Johnny Tsunami. I'm Joanna.
And I am Sam.
So, Sam, this is a movie that you have been extremely excited to watch.
I love this movie ever since I was a child.
Did you still love this movie watching it again?
Well, I don't give any spoilers away for our audience, but we'll definitely get into what I thought about the movie. But it was, I think last time we said in Smart House, that was one of the most memorable movies for me. And this is probably a little bit higher than Smart House in terms of memorability from my childhood.
Okay.
Because I love it so much.
So I think from that statement, we'll be able to figure out your take on the movie, but let's jump in.
So the premise of this movie is that a child who is not named Johnny Tsunami, which I definitely still thought his name was Johnny Tsunami up until we watched it recently, a child who's not named Johnny Tsunami, but is named Johnny, is a very, very good surfer in Hawaii. And his father doesn't approve of him surfing because there's no money in children surfing, or I guess when you become adults surfing.
Well, he needs to watch Brink because there's obviously $200 a week in it.
That cash money. Straight cash.
Can't beat it.
And his father gets a job in the Northeast, I think Vermont, right? Gets a job in Vermont. Yeah. They move out to Vermont, and Johnny can no longer surf, no longer has his friends out there, and he has to get accustomed to living in Vermont where there's no waves and there's no any sort of surfing, so he has to go into snowboarding and skiing.
Yeah, that's the whole movie.
All
Good
right.
talk.
All right. It's a good episode.
Yeah, glad we got that off our chest. A few things stood out in this movie to me. The first being throughout the movie, obviously, for a surfing / skiing / snowboarding movie, there are going to be a lot of stunts.
Obviously.
They made no effort to hide the stunt doubles' faces.
Yeah, there were some scenes where it was definitely more obvious. I think some of them, it was hard to tell if it actually was a stunt double or if it was actually the actor doing it. I guess they could have had some actors that were decent at snowboarding, but probably definitely for Johnny, it was pretty obvious it wasn't him, and definitely times 1,000 for his grandfather.
Yes. And there were some scenes. Well, first, pretty close to the beginning, Johnny, not Tsunami, regular Johnny.
Kokolua?
Yeah. Johnny Kokolua is in a surfing competition, and he's catching a really big wave, and he's kicking ass. And the stunt double's hair was significantly longer than his.
And it was also like grainy footage on purpose, it seemed like. It was like zoomed out and it just looked so ridiculous. It was as if someone was like filming it on a camcorder that was released in like 1942.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's like the same camcorder that they film Bigfoot every single time with.
Bigfoot and Johnny Tsunami. That's the brand of camcorder they used. So yeah, the stunt doubles really stood out to me. And there were a couple really good scenes, especially when they were when Johnny and his grandpa is Johnny Tsunami, by the way, were snowboarding together. Those scenes especially, you got really good shots of the stunt doubles, and they look pretty awesome.
Yeah, those are definitely the most noticeable whenever the grandpa was involved in the snowboarding, which is funny because the actor that plays the grandfather is in like every single ninja movie apparently made in the last like 40 years. So I wonder if he does his own stunts in those movies too, or if he's just a talking guy and that's all he does. He doesn't really do stunts.
That's a good question. We should look that up.
We'll have to watch all 60 other movies he's in.
Yeah, once we're done with the Disney Channel movies and all the other things that we've said that we would watch on the previous 8 episodes, after all of that, we're going to watch all the ninja movies.
What did you think, going back to those scenes when there's actually action going on in surfing and snowboarding? What did you think of the music and guitar riffs during all those scenes?
They didn't really make an impact on me.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's all I could think about. Because there was no sound. Nothing else was happening. It was just this, like, every time it was just guitar riffs, and that's it.
I think I was too distracted with the stunt doubles, and I was
that's so
actually
funny.
Just whenever there were scenes with a lot of stunts, I was actively looking to see if I could see the stunt double's face and was not disappointed. So, yeah, I had no focus left for guitar riffs.
And just one thing totally separate of the movie for the audience to know. So we made something for dinner before that had paprika and cayenne pepper and all these spicy things in it. And I put all the spicy things in. And then after cutting up a jalapeno pepper, I immediately had a scratch on my nose. So I started scratching it. And I got remnants of jalapeno pepper just all up in my nose. And now I'm just scared to do anything with my hands at this point.
And Sam is definitely a gesticulator, so he looks more uncomfortable because he's trying not to use his hands than he does because he got jalapeno in his nose.
I'm just going to hold my pants the entire time. But back to my boy Johnny Tsunami. Yeah, the guitar really stood out to me. I really enjoyed it.
We will rewatch it, and I will focus more on the guitar and less on the stunt doubles.
Another thing I'm 100% sure you noticed was the kid wearing the coolest hat in the world.
Oh my God. When I was in middle school and high school, and I would go skiing and see those kids wearing those crazy hats, I thought it was so cool. I really wanted a snowboard hat.
Oh, you never had one of those?
I didn't have one like he wears in the movie. I had one. It was, I don't know how to describe it.
Was it one of those jester hats or the pointy kind of?
Not a jester hat, but I did see people with those, and I also wanted one of those. It was more just a really long hat that came to a point.
Okay.
So the point was maybe down to my shoulders.
Okay, I got an elf hat that has collapsed backwards.
Yes.
Did you snowboard a lot as a kid or ski or anything?
I skied. I started skiing when I was very young.
This is downhill?
Downhill skiing.
Okay.
I skied a lot as a kid, and then I've only been snowboarding twice in my life. But it was fun. I just didn't, I don't know. I didn't go a lot.
What did you like better between those two? Skiing and snowboarding?
Probably skiing.
Okay.
But then in high school, I started cross-country skiing, and I was on my school's cross-country ski team. So then I started doing that all the time and kind of stopped downhill skiing.
So you were a total sky is what you're telling me.
Oh, yeah. I was more sky than the skies.
And you were an urchin whatsoever.
I was urchin twice.
But that's
I was a 2-time urchin.
You hid, though, like Xenon did.
Oh, no. I walked into school the next day. I was like, I went snowboarding yesterday. And I'm so sore.
Were you like Johnny when he brought his snowboard to school?
Yeah. Sup, dude?
So we'll hit on some of the major, I guess, parts that happen in the movie. So like we said, Johnny's in Hawaii in the beginning. He's really into surfing. He's actually at a competition in the very beginning, and his grandfather goes to it. And in the early scenes in Hawaii, we come to realize that, like I said before, his father doesn't agree with him surfing, and he doesn't like Johnny's father, doesn't like Johnny Tsunami, the grandfather's influence on Johnny. And he thinks that he surfs because of his grandfather.
So Johnny's main character, Johnny, we need to figure out a way to... Let's call
Just call him Johnny. Just call him
Johnny and Grandpa.
Johnny and Tsunami.
Yes, Johnny and Tsunami. Johnny and Grandpa. So Johnny's dad is definitely workaholic. He's a coder. And basically he just wants Johnny to grow up and have a stable life. And he makes a comment along the lines of, if you're surfing all the time, you won't be able to provide for your family. And that made me feel like, okay, so when he was a kid, there was something going on.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, mind you, Johnny's 13, 14 at the time?
Yeah.
If that. He's probably in high school, it sounds like.
It seemed like he was maybe 9th or 10th grade.
Okay, yeah. So he's still very young, and there's no reason. And he's potentially the best surfer right now in Hawaii.
Which is a big deal, I would think.
He's not going to be working. Like, he's not going to be making money at this age. He's too young to even for that to matter at all.
Unless he becomes a professional surfer and makes $200 a week.
Or a surf instructor.
Yeah, he could do that. Also, in the scene where Johnny first goes into his house in Hawaii and sees his dad is working, but his desk is right by the front door.
Yeah, very weird layout in that Hawaii house.
That's not a good spot for a home office.
And his back's like to the door. I would hate that so much.
Oh, it was just bizarre. I was focusing on it a lot.
And his dad's using very early internet to look up the salaries of surfers.
Which he found really quickly.
I think he went to surfercelebritynetworth.com is my guess.
Oh, of course.
He coded the website.
Makes perfect sense to me.
And like I said before, his dad gets a big deal or a big job, whatever, in New England. I don't think they say Vermont at first, but then we just come to know it's Vermont. And tells them that they're moving in a week, which is very little notice for a kid to leave Hawaii.
And pack up all his stuff.
Unbelievable.
And right before Johnny's dad tells him that they're moving, the mom and dad are having a discussion. The mom was like, you have to tell him soon. And then we find out that they're moving in a week. And I'm thinking, what if he hadn't said anything? Just like, oh, by the way, Johnny, pack up your entire life. We're moving to New England tomorrow.
And also, like, the mom could have told him that.
Yes, she could have. I do get why she wanted the dad to tell him, though.
Because he's the bearer of bad news and she's the good parent.
Well,
she's a good cop.
That, and because it's his job that's causing them to move.
Sure, I get that too. And then we have the generic scene where a character goes from somewhere they're not used to, or from somewhere they are used to somewhere they're not used to, and they're just dressed completely inappropriately, where Johnny lands in Vermont in a literal snowstorm wearing a short sleeve t-shirt and shorts. And a Hawaiian t-shirt, I'm sorry.
Yes, after his mom in the previous scene says, make sure you have something warm to wear. It might be a little colder in Vermont than it is here.
It's a classic Disney scene right there. So they land in Vermont. They move into a very nice house in Vermont, I gotta say. I don't know if they bought the house or what their situation was, but immediately moved into a nice house.
They said that the dad's company took care of everything for them. Took care of moving, took care of everything. And they really took care of them.
Oh, yeah. It was extremely nice. And even in Johnny's room, there's already a poster up of snowboarding or skiing. I think it was skiing, actually, which seems bizarre for a new house.
Yeah, but what?
Should I leave my drive posters here when we move out?
You could not part with the drive posters.
I'll leave one of them.
But which one? Sophie's Choice?
Eeny meeny. Oh, and also Johnny is starting to go to a prep school in Vermont, which is where his dad's working, which is why he's going to that school instead of the public school.
I found it interesting that on the first day of school, Johnny shows up in a Hawaiian shirt.
Well, he didn't have his uniform yet.
But it also looked like, so yes, everyone's wearing a uniform. Johnny shows up in his Hawaiian shirt. And it looks like he was surprised that everyone was wearing a uniform, as if no one had told him that students at this school wear uniforms.
It seemed like he knew nothing at all about going to school. At least
certainly,
that school.
Yeah, certainly this school. Why didn't anyone tell him?
I mean, he was barely told he was going to Vermont until a week before it happened.
That is true. I guess
you expect the dad to also tell him
was forgotten.
You expect the dad also to tell him that he needs a suit and tie.
A mandatory uniform?
That's over the line. Come on. And here we have a nice surprise for the DCOM audience, where we find out that Xenon from 2049 is in Johnny's class. Which is wild, because there's nothing in this movie up until that point to let you know that it's 2049. You just thought it was like present day 1999 in Hawaii. But it turns out it's actually 2049.
Well, I think this was when Xenon was on Earth for a brief period of time, and
It's
how
like 2042 or a little bit before that.
Well, no, she was on Earth in 2049, but the town that Aunt Judy lived in, they said that it was more old timey.
That's incredible. You remember Aunt Judy's name.
It stood out.
It's funny because my aunt's actual name is Judy, and I never would have remembered that.
That's actually how I remembered her name.
My aunt you've never met before.
Come on, Sam, Aunt Judy.
Oh my god, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is when she comes to Earth.
In 2049.
Okay, when her
Yes.
parents send her back to Earth, and this is her overlapping
Yes.
with this movie, Johnny Tsunami.
And to fit in, she briefly changes her name to Emily.
Oh, I thought her name was Xenon in the movie too.
Well, she doesn't want people to know her name is Xenon.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
It is weird because they do
Mhm.
taunt her the first day.
Yeah.
Maybe her first day was the day prior.
So she got her uniform.
Yep.
And so did all
And
of the
changed
other
her-
students.
And changed her name.
And got a new dad?
We don't. That's her Earth dad.
Oh.
That's Uncle Mike. She just calls him Dad for the time being.
She's testing it out.
And on his first day of class, he meets Xenon, who I don't know. At that point, you could tell she was interested in him, but she had some sort of. She was interested to get to know him, I would say. And then he's also confronted by some bullies in the class who were just so annoying this entire movie.
Yes. And there were some points in the movie where I was like, but that's a really cool thing that Johnny did. If I were a student at that school, I would be like, wow, this kid is cool.
Yeah, and Johnny's super, super nice to every single character in the entire movie.
Yeah.
He's always smiling for the most part. Just nice to everyone. He's he is Brink, basically, in that he's always smiling. He's always happy. He tries to make the best of the situations. And his dad's trying to bring him down at all times.
Did we just watch Brink again?
I wish.
No, you don't.
And I guess not to get too into the weeds, but we find out that Xenon's dad is the headmaster of the school, and there's a public school and the prep school in the same town. The public school kids are called urchins because they only snowboard and they're not allowed on a certain side of the mountain in the town. And the academy kids are called skies, and they're allowed to go in like the summit portion of the mountain, which is the better part because they're richer and, I don't know, not urchins. There's a very class conscious kind of dynamic to this town.
Yes.
And it's kind of enforced pretty much to all the students. Like, Xenon doesn't want to go to the other side of the mountain. The two bullies, 100%, you can never catch them dead with a snowboard. And Johnny's kind of the go-between because he starts off skiing, but it really was just because the bullies just wanted to taunt him and kind of mess with him the entire time. So he doesn't really get into it. And that's when he starts hanging out with some of the quote-unquote urchins at the public school. And he gets to know them better, becomes really good friends with them. There's one kid named Sam in the movie that he gets to become really good friends with. We'll call him Cool Sam. Not to confuse him, me, Cooler Sam. He gets to be friends with Cool Sam, and Sam teaches him how to snowboard. He's super nice to him, and they very quickly become friends. It seems like maybe 2 weeks or so. They become like best friends, more or less.
Yeah. Also, some things that I found interesting about, the division on the mountain is that it wasn't just the students. It seemed like it really was the whole town. Like, even the ski patrol at one point tells Johnny and Sam, when they're on the sky side, the skiing side, maybe you should go back to the other side. Xenon's dad makes a comment about Johnny being friends with the public school kids at one point when he's in a bit of a pickle, spot of trouble, if you will.
If you will.
So yeah, it's not just a student thing. It seems to be a larger issue within the town.
Definitely. I mean, it's basically just a civil rights kind of throwback to the early 1900s or even middle 1900s in the United States.
1960s. I would say that this movie is about segregation.
Yeah, very much so. And it's not even like I guess it's a little bit different because it's not the same enforcement techniques, but the security on the mountain, they seem like, hey, I don't really want to do this, but just a heads up, these people on this side don't really want you here.
I'm following orders.
Right. So it's having like a police. I don't think he was like as mean as like the police at the time, obviously, were like hosing them down and putting dogs on them. But it was basically just, these are my orders. I need to follow them for your, it's probably for your best if you go to the other side of the mountain.
Yeah. And it was more like the ski patrol guy was just like, you should probably just go back over.
Yeah. And it's also clear that the parents are the real ones that enforce this, because it's really all the students know. Like Xenon's like, I don't know why it's like this. It's just how it is. It's how it always was. So it's a very interesting dynamic because the headmaster clearly doesn't want Johnny snowboarding or hanging out with public school kids, as does Johnny's dad doesn't want him doing that either, because he thinks they're a bad influence on him.
And Johnny and his family are very new here. Like, they've only been here for weeks, and his dad is already on board with this. Yeah.
And there's also a racial element to it because, well, Sam is black, and he's also the one with the cool hat that Joanna wanted.
100%.
And the bullies are both white. Xenon obviously is white. So there is also a racial element added onto it. Although a lot of the other urchins were white, but still.
A more diverse crowd.
Yes, definitely. But the only thing they really had in common, it seems like, is that they were less well off. It's more working class families.
Yeah. Can we talk about pineapples now?
Your favorite?
All I want to say is that pineapples were a very big low-key part of this movie.
When else were pineapples besides the lunch scene?
The entire first part of the movie when they're in Hawaii. They're constantly eating pineapples. I noticed because I really don't like pineapples. I would go so far as to say I hate pineapple.
What would you rather eat, pineapple or coconut?
This is a really hard choice because they're both awful.
You have to choose one or Harry Potter dies.
Oh, I guess we live in a world where Voldemort rules now.
Wow.
I think I would rather eat pineapple than coconut.
Okay.
If it were a life or death situation.
The texture is better too of pineapple than coconut. I like both of them.
Is it? Actually,
yeah. Coconut texture is kind of weird, I think. Pineapple's just a normal kind of melony, I would say. It's like a tougher watermelon.
That's a really disgusting description.
I always say that about pineapples. I always say they're tougher watermelons.
But yeah, pineapples stood out to me because they're awful. But when I think the moment where Johnny really and truly realizes he's not in Hawaii anymore, it was when the lunch lady serves him pineapple, and he's like, I asked for pineapple, and she's like, honey, that is pineapple.
It's
Look
like
at this can.
It's like the Sloppy Joe scene in Billy Madison.
Slop.
I heard you like them nice and sloppy.
And just the crowning jewel is that when she holds up the can, it says Hawaiian pineapple.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
He was not pleased,
No.
to say the least.
No.
Finally, Xenon comes to the dark side and decides to go snowboarding on the urchin side of the mountain. And she's in legit full-on like ninja attire.
She does not want anyone to know that she's there.
I didn't even recognize it was her at first, did you?
It worked.
How did Johnny know it was her?
It was in the eyes.
And she comes over there and she wants to learn how to snowboard, but she's still like confused about the whole dynamic. She's like, I'm not supposed to be here. Don't tell anyone I'm here. I don't truly know why I'm not supposed to be here, but I like you. Let's try out snowboarding and see how it goes. So Sam and Johnny, Sam is the friend with the cool hat. They teach Cool Sam, I'm sorry. They teach Xenon how to snowboard, which he does a terrible job at. For someone that's really good at skiing, she cannot snowboard for her life.
Skiing and snowboarding are very different.
Which did you find harder in the beginning?
Well, when I was skiing, just learning how to ski, I think I was maybe 5.
Oh, so you're way older for snowboarding.
Yeah,
okay.
So I can't even compare.
I went skiing once ever, and I went on like the bunny hill, whatever. And I was probably like 10 years old. And I went snowboarding less than one time ever because we were just on some hill at some like the resort in the Poconos or something. And some kid had a like plastic snowboard, like those absolute pieces of shit snowboards.
Where you just wear your regular snow boots and then slide your feet into the straps.
I don't even know if there were straps, I'm being completely honest. It was more like a skateboard, I would say. And I went on. It felt like so icy. And I was just like immediately just fucking slammed my back of my head on the snow. And I was like, I will never, ever, ever do that again. So now I'm only sleds. Sleds only.
So you want to go snowboarding this winter?
Yes, please.
I've gone twice, so I'll be able to teach you.
Oh, thank you. I'll be Xenon. You could be Johnny.
I'm definitely not Sam. Cool Sam. Not you.
Aw. I think this is the first time she's there is when she falls off the cliff, right?
Yes. She's just starting to get the hang of it, but then she goes too close to the edge, which I don't know why they went down that run.
Yeah, that was really dumb of them.
I guess plot would be my guess.
Well, she just went off on her own over there. That was kind of her decision. They didn't lead her that way, I don't think.
She could have been closer to the mountain rather than the cliff edge, though.
Yeah. So she legit just falls off the cliff and is like holding onto a rock. And then Sam comes over to like look over the edge to see if he could help her out. And then the ice just like breaks underneath him. So it wasn't really his fault. Like it just kind of broke.
Yeah, he was actually saying like, I'm going to go get help.
Yeah. And he falls
And then
down.
he falls.
And
Yeah.
he's also holding onto a rock near Xenon.
Nicely placed rocks, by the way. That was lucky.
So they fall into the cliff and Johnny snowboards his ass off to get all the way down the mountain to where he could wave down some, I guess the guys just drive around.
Yeah, the ski patrol.
So you find ski patrol, they go up and go on a safe mission. Did you think there was any chance that either Sam or Xenon wouldn't make it? I'm sorry, Cool Sam or Xenon?
No.
I thought there was a chance Cool Sam wasn't going to make it.
That did not even cross my mind.
Because I thought they made it such a point of saving Xenon first that I was like, I fucking hope nothing happens to Cool Sam. I would be royally pissed if it does.
Did you think that when Xenon and Johnny were having their moment where they look into each other's eyes, that's when Sam was going to fall?
Yeah, pretty much. When she got up.
That would have been terrible.
I know. I genuinely would have cried. But then I also thought back to my childhood, and I was like, if that happened in this movie, would I have liked it as much?
Oh, wait. I already watched this movie, and I know what happens. Okay, I feel better now.
And the next scene is the most bullshit scene in the entire movie. So before this point, they were just snowboarding on the regular mountain, doing nothing wrong whatsoever, until Xenon messes up and falls off the cliff. Johnny did literally nothing wrong, and then Sam goes to help her, and then he falls also. Again, Johnny did absolutely nothing wrong, got the help, and saved both of their lives. And then Johnny's dad is mad at Johnny.
Yeah.
For what?
For saving his friends' lives.
He did literally nothing wrong and saved two kids' lives.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
It was such bullshit. And they want to ground him for that.
Yeah, and his mom
has his
saves
back.
the day, and she's like, I think you learned your lesson. You're not grounded. Which, first of all, don't really know what lesson he was supposed to learn.
His friends almost died. He's not going to do it again. They almost died.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I mean, that was the learning the lesson part. But, like, again, he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Dislike.
But
immensely.
it did bring us our Disney Channel original movie trope of Johnny being on the stairwell, walking down the stairs, and overhearing a conversation from two people he's not supposed to hear the conversation between. So I think this is the fourth or fifth movie that this has happened, and we've only watched 9 movies so far.
So I actually made a note that says, overhearing parents talk. Check.
It happened in Brink. It happened in Halloween Town. It happened in Smart House when he sees them kiss. So this is the 4th movie out of 9.
Did it happen in Can of Worms or The 13th Year?
I don't remember it happening in Can of Worms. It may have happened in 13th Year, but I'm not positive. But almost half the movies so far have the same exact scene.
So in every episode, are we going to go through and name all of the movies where they have the same exact
I'll
scene?
keep a tally in my head of every movie that happens in.
Stay tuned for episode 108 of DCOM, which will just be us listing movies with that trope.
And I mean, the next few scenes, I mean, there's something too important. It's basically Xenon telling Johnny that she can't hang out with him. And it's not really clear why. It's either because her dad told her not to, or it's her decision not to. It's not, there's no real definite reason at this point that we know of why they can't hang out anymore.
It was also around this time that I noticed that Johnny's mom's wardrobe has completely changed.
From Hawaii to Vermont?
Not just the fact that she's wearing warmer clothes because it's Vermont, but the style and the vibe are totally different. She went from cool surfer mom to, at least style-wise, uptight waspy mom. Just wanted to point that out.
She has to fit in with the town, first of all. And second of all, I noticed that you always realize the mother's clothing, and that never, ever, ever crosses my mind because I'm too focused on
guitar riffs.
Speaking of guitar riffs, the song in this scene, I guess the next scene when they go back to the mountain and Johnny's given one of those frilly hats that look really cool.
Oh yeah, he earned it. Sam honored him with a hat.
Which is
Cool Sam honored him with a hat.
Amazing.
I was jealous.
The music playing here just reminded me of Sum 41 so much. And it made me really reminiscent of back to those days.
I loved Sum 41.
I think I knew like 4 songs of theirs, maybe.
I had one of their CDs.
Oh, and you didn't watch the music videos?
No.
There was one.
Because along with not having Disney Channel, I also didn't have MTV.
What was their really famous song, the most famous one?
Fat Lip,
I think it was that one. Yeah, the whole music video is just them with like action figures, just like fucking around with action figures for 4 minutes during the song.
So it's the greatest music video of all time.
Look, I'm not even exaggerating. It is great. I very much enjoyed that music video, and the reason that still stuck out to me must be because it's a very good music video. And here's where Johnny has his big Rosa Parks moment where he's like, you know what, snowboarders? Let's go over to the skiing area because they can't make us stay on our side. We're going to go over to their side. Civil rights hero, Johnny Kakalua.
Unfortunately, this is also around the time that we find out that Cool Sam is going to be moving. He's also moving in a week because his dad has been restationed, I think in Iceland.
Yeah, I think it was either Iceland or it definitely was Iceland because he says it's somewhere else cold, which they should have done Greenland because it's even colder in Greenland. But I guess Iceland's pretty funny for a name of a place that's cold.
Which that made me really sad because I like Cool Sam.
Cool Sam, well, I don't want to get into it yet. But yes, I also really liked Cool Sam. And not just because he was almost as cool as me.
Yeah, almost.
And just prior to this, the one thing, Johnny gets into a physical fight with one of the bullies. I think his name is Brett. Whatever, we'll call him the bully. Johnny gets into a fight with one of the bullies. And the headmaster, who's Xenon's who's Xenon's dad.
Either one. We'll both accepting.
Punishes Johnny for the fight.
Even
unfairly.
Johnny did not start it. Brett was clearly provoking him.
And I think his dad tells him it's not fair, but it's a reality in terms of having to be on the sky side and not the urchin side. Which that really sucked too.
It does really suck.
I didn't like that one bit.
All right, so the fight, then Sam is moving, but then Johnny decides to take his fate into his own hands.
This part's great. It makes no sense, but it's so great.
Oh, he calls Cool Sam and was like, hey, Cool Sam, let's hit the road. We're running away.
So then what Johnny and Cool Sam do, is they get their stuff and they just walk to the bus station and take a short bus ride over to the town over, right?
No, because they go big or go home. And they certainly were not going to go home.
Oh, so they go like a few towns over, right?
Not big enough.
Oh, so what do?
they sneak into the military base and take a military transport to Hawaii.
So are you telling me these two children sneak onto a military plane and fly all the way to Hawaii?
Yeah,
Huh.
of course.
Are there direct flights from Vermont to Hawaii?
Apparently.
Maybe for military flights, it's probably different than commercial.
Maybe. Maybe not.
But still, that's like a 12-hour flight? No. What do you think? Vermont to California is like 6 hours, would you say? Because New York to California is about that.
And then maybe, I don't know, this is a guess, 2 or 3 more hours to Hawaii.
I think it's longer than that, maybe.
It is?
Maybe, I don't know.
know.
So about 10 hours, which is insane.
So they were hiding on a military transport. Well, first, they successfully stuck into the military base.
Easy.
Then they successfully infiltrated the military transport.
Also easy.
Then they successfully hid themselves for at least 10 hours.
That's right.
Then they also successfully exited both the transport and the base.
Yep, exactly.
And
they somehow get from the base to Johnny's grandfather's house.
yes, which I guess they have to be on the same island because it looks like they were walking from the base to
I don't
Grandpa's
remember
house.
which island they're on.
I don't either.
And they definitely mention it at some point because Xenon names all the islands in Hawaii because she's a smarty pants. But
They're on the military base island.
okay, Kauai.
Yeah.
So they land there and they just basically fall asleep. And the parents are freaking out. Sam's dad comes over and he's like, "What the hell's going on? Where's my kid? What's going on?" And so other parents are like, "Oh, he's probably in Hawaii."
Naturally.
Yeah. First guess, Hawaii.
So Johnny's dad calls Grandpa, and Grandpa's like, "Yeah, they're here. They're fine. They're alive. I'm not sending them back.
Yeah,
They'll
the dad's
go back
like,
in their own time."
the dad's like, "Can you send them back?" And he's like, "Nah," which is insane of him to do.
I mean, I can kind of see him doing it if it was just Johnny, but Sam is there too.
Completely irresponsible.
Yeah, like it's almost kidnapping them.
But also, Sam's dad doesn't seem too crazy about it.
Sam's dad is very calm.
Yeah, and so is Johnny's mom. The both of them are so calm about the entire situation.
I can understand Johnny's mom being calm.
Right, because he's with his grandfather.
grandpa. Yeah.
Right.
But Sam's dad, like, your son is actually on the other side of the country.
And also, if anyone
With a
finds
stranger.
out, you're probably going to get kicked out of the military. or in big trouble, at least.
Yeah. And now he's not going to be able to go to his new station because he has to find his son. And this random guy in Hawaii is not sending his son back.
Truly incredible.
Yeah.
Did you think at any point that Cool Sam's dad would get stationed in Hawaii and it'd be a situation where Johnny's stuck in Vermont and Cool Sam's stuck in Hawaii?
Oh, that would have been a twist. That didn't cross my mind, but that actually would have been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because then whenever Johnny went to visit his grandpa, he also could have gone to visit Cool Sam.
So they're in Hawaii now. And they're just waiting around now for Johnny and Cool Sam to decide to come back to Vermont.
Which they do eventually because they are responsible, unlike Grandpa. But first, Johnny and Grandpa teach Sam how to surf, which is really cool. Kind of paying it forward because Sam spent a lot of time teaching Johnny how to snowboard.
And Johnny ditches his two friends, which he hasn't seen in a while, to help Sam surfboard.
Well, his two friends, at least one of them in particular in the beginning, was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And definitely a Debbie Downer.
That's true.
So Sam was way cooler. Cool Sam was way cooler.
Yeah. And so is surfboarding. Or surfboarding, like Beyonce says.
Anyway, so Johnny and Cool Sam make their way back to Vermont. And Grandpa is in tow.
Yes, he comes also. Oh, and also before they leave, I really like this line where they're at a campfire. I think Cool Sam is sleeping or something. I'm not really sure. And it's just the grandpa talking to Johnny. And Johnny's like, "There's no waves in Vermont." And the grandpa's like, "There may not be physical waves, but maybe there's some metaphorical waves in Vermont. You just got to find what those waves are, which I really like that line of his. It wasn't word for word that, but that was the gist of it.
Why did you like it?
I mean, you're in a different situation. You got to make the best of it. You got to turn lemons into lemonade and find what you like and go with it. You can't change your circumstances, but you could change what you're doing in those circumstances. So I like the message he was conveying to Johnny in a way that Johnny would understand it best.
Nice.
Talking about surfing.
Mm-hmm.
So
go, Grandpa.
You go, Grandpa. So like you said, they go back to Vermont and Grandpa comes. I guess Grandpa didn't really tell the parents he was coming to.
No, it was a surprise.
So that was cool.
But really happy that Grandpa was more prepared for the Vermont weather than Johnny was when he first arrived.
But we find out later that Grandpa clearly knows about cold weather and doing things in cold weather.
Oh, yes. He is no stranger.
This is when the Grandpa and Dad have a talk. And the Grandpa, again, with his sage advice, tells Johnny's dad that you can't force Johnny to give up something he likes. You didn't like surfing. I couldn't force you to go surfing. And Johnny likes surfing. You can't force him not to go surfing. You can't force him not to do snowboarding. He's going to do what he likes, and you can't force his hand on that. So just let him be and let him do what he likes.
And this was a nice twist on the father-son moment, because this was Grandpa and Johnny's dad, so it was two adults having a discussion, but also father and a son moving their relationship forward.
Yeah, and not surprisingly, it reminded me of Gilmore Girls in that the conversations between Rory and Lorelai, which are kind of the focus of the show, but then whenever Lorelai is talking to the grandmother, like as a kid, I was like, I don't really care about this because I'm a child. So like in this movie, I didn't really care about this scene because I was a child and cared more about Johnny. But when you get older and you're watching these scenes, you're like, oh, I can really relate to, although I don't have kids, obviously, I can really relate to the more adult conversation and trying to see life in a different context in that way. So I really enjoyed the scene with the grandfather and dad talking.
Yeah. And I think it was nice even for kids who may not be as into the conversation. They're still watching something where two adult men share their feelings and grow from it.
Right.
I think that's important.
About surfing, nonetheless.
The most important part is the surfing.
Exactly. And the next day, Johnny brings his grandfather snowboarding.
Oh, and the guy at the snowboard shop, Randy, freaks out. He is so pumped.
Oh, he knows Johnny Tsunami. This guy who works at a snow store. A snowboarding store? I don't know.
Yeah, this
you can buy snow there.
Do you have any snow?
Can I get 6 ounces of your finest powder, please?
I'm gonna take that. No, the snow on that snow. Yeah. ½ pound, please. Thank you.
And Randy's also wearing a mask as if he's prepared for coronavirus.
That was great. That was the most familiar part of the movie.
So I guess that still exists in 2049. And this is so he freaks out. He gives Johnny Tsunami free everything, free board, free helmet, all the equipment for free.
Well, he also gave young Johnny, all the free equipment too.
Right.
Randy is just giving out snowboard equipment like candy.
And he knew young Johnny too from the magazines or whatever, which is crazy.
I don't know if he knew. I think he said when Sam was introducing them, mentioned that he came from Hawaii and he was a surfer. And Randy brought up like, oh, I know the surfer Johnny Tsunami. And Johnny was like, oh, that's my grandpa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Yeah. But definitely recognized Johnny Tsunami when he graced his presence.
And also, this store makes about -$- per day, it seems like, because he just gives away free stuff to everyone, it looks like.
Oh, you're cool? Here, I have a snowboard.
So, and we also learn here, because Johnny's like, oh, this is great. I'll teach my grandpa how to snowboard. And he's already a fantastic snowboarder.
Yeah, Grandpa's like, oh, you don't have to teach me. I got the moves.
I've done this a time or two.
Yeah.
It's never explained at all when he learned to snowboard or in what situation or where he was. Never explained, but he's really good at snowboarding.
That's in the prequel.
Well, there is a sequel, so.
I don't want a sequel. I want a movie dedicated to Johnny Tsunami, actually Johnny Tsunami, to know how he learned how to snowboard.
Maybe it flashes back
and
to
then
before.
moves to Hawaii to learn how to surf. It's the same movie, but reversed.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He came from a prep school and moved to Hawaii, learned how to surf.
He was a sky and became an urchin.
Yeah.
I could see it. It's in the works. Yeah. We'll get started on it. So, I mean, some skirmish happens or whatever. Johnny and his grandfather go over to the skiing side again. And this is when the big showdown, well, I guess not the big showdown, but the first showdown happens. And Johnny and Brett agree to have a race to decide if everyone could use the skiing side.
Either everything stays the same or everyone can ski and snowboard wherever they want.
So what I liked most about this scene
is that it was just like the brink racing scene?
Well, yes. But the premise I like the best is that Brett controls who goes on the other side of the mountain. Brett has no say. This bully is just a skier. He's just a guy that skis. He has literally no control over who goes on what side besides him bullying people that come to his side.
Oh, Sam, I don't know if you noticed this, but they all had matching jackets. So they clearly are the big cheeses on the mountain.
Oh, it was so funny. It's just like he doesn't have authority to make that deal with Johnny. Oh, and also Brett could win a little medallion.
Yes.
If he wins. Medallion he knows nothing about.
But meant a lot to Johnny and his grandpa. And that the grandpa seemingly carried around everywhere and also was wearing while snowboarding in Vermont.
Well, he did win. I get that part. I get why he wears the medallion that he won for being the best surfer ever. But I don't get why the grandpa putting up the most sentimental item he has in exchange for Brett putting up access to a mountain, which he has no authority over, how that was the deal made for this race.
Because plot.
That was great. And just like Brink, there is a race the next day between Johnny and the bully. And guess who wins?
Brett?
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Joanna. Try again.
I don't know.
That's right. Johnny wins.
Yay, Johnny
wins the race.
After Brett cheats, he pushes him down. He's just a real big jerk. Also very reminiscent of Brink. We're just going to keep bringing up Brink.
And another part that's reminiscent of Brink is the second that Johnny wins, all of Brett's friends celebrate with Johnny.
Oh, yeah. They're like, oh, Johnny's the winner. I liked him more all along. This is great.
Xenon celebrates with him. His best friend Bully celebrates with him. Mm-hmm. It's hysterical.
Also, another... oh, wait, no. We forgot to mention that before the race, Johnny and his dad have their father-son moment. Johnny's dad goes to the race and cheers him on. And after Johnny wins, he's like, party at our house.
Oh, yeah, and there's a luau. There's literally a Hawaiian theme party at their Vermont house, it's nice out.
Yeah, it is nice out.
It's not snowing. It's not that cold, it seems like.
It was actually perfect conditions for a snowboard race. The thing that caught my eye at the luau was the pig roast.
That's very Hawaiian.
I'm a vegetarian. I'm not the expert on roasting pigs, but I do believe that it's kind of a many hours, possibly full day ordeal, and not something one would serve at an impromptu backyard party.
Well, the thing that you don't realize is that his dad knew he was going to win.
Oh, he had that much faith in him.
Yeah.
It was not really an impromptu party. He'd been planning it all day. Okay.
He'd been roasting it for 20 hours by that point.
Wow. Yeah. That's really nice of him.
He's a good dad now, so.
Wow. I guess that talk the night before really meant something. Good for him.
And the last scene is Johnny and Xenon slow dancing, and then it cuts to the credits. Adorable scene.
Yes.
And that was Johnny Tsunami.
Desegregation wins.
What were your overall thoughts on this movie?
I liked it. It was fun. I think that if I had watched it when I was younger, I wouldn't have gotten all of like the civil rights and segregation things that were put in there. I mean, obviously watching it now and in the times that we live in, it stuck out a lot more. But yeah, I thought it was a fun movie. The acting was fine. The characters were fun. The good guys were good. The bad guys were bad. Yeah. Solid.
I think as a kid, like trying to go off my recollection, I mean, I obviously really liked it as a kid. I definitely thought it was more fun and easygoing, kind of more of like a Brink type movie when I watched it as a kid, with less real emphasis and kind of risk and class consciousness and racial elements and things like that as a kid. But I think it definitely still holds up now. It's definitely an enjoyable movie. Nothing about the premise is that ridiculous, I don't think. It's still, even 20 years later, it still holds up, and I really enjoyed watching it still.
Johnny Tsunami, 10 out of 10.
Wow, that high?
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Now let's go over some of the questions we have about this movie that we do for at least the last few movies that we've watched. So the first one is, if you could change anything about this movie, what would you change?
I would have made the guitar riffs louder so that I would notice them more. No. I don't know. I mean, there were some nitpicky things that we brought up. But in the grand scheme of things, they don't really matter. I guess at the luau, they would have served sandwiches instead of the giant pig.
Did you want them to serve beet cake instead?
I always want everyone to serve beet cake.
I think the change I would have made is, I mean, it was a little cliche. Again, this was 1999, so maybe it wasn't as cliche at the time. But I wish they did something that wasn't just a downhill race to see who wins. Because I feel there's so many other movies. Like Out Cold does that, which may have come out after 99, the more I think about it.
Brink does it.
Yes, which did come out just before it. But there's so many of those skiing movies where it's like these two people are fighting over the mountain.
It was like a turf war.
Right. But there's always a race to decide who gets authority over it.
Yeah, because it's exciting. You get to show off a whole bunch of cool stunts. I was okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What two characters would you ship together?
Johnny and Cool Sam.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think you always ship together the main character and their best friend.
It's possible. It's probable. But I feel like they made a really good team.
They were very cute together.
Yeah.
They wore the same hat. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they were the matching couple. It was adorable. I'm down for that.
I would have put together the principal or headmaster and class consciousness as a concept.
Yeah, that was necessary.
But in reality, I would have said Xenon and Johnny because they were also adorable together.
So you were going for the obvious choice.
But they never kissed. Xenon,
they did not.
Xenon wasn't as forward in this movie as she was in her own movie.
That's true.
Was it weird for you? I mean, obviously it's an actress, so I mean, they do whatever they want in the movies, whatever they're told. But was it weird to you how different she was in Xenon to this movie?
No, because like you said, she's an actress, and I watch movies all the time with the same actors in them.
I think it's different with like the Disney Channel movies, because like even with the sister in the last movie, she was totally different. But I mean, she wasn't like 100% different. But here, Xenon was so forward and outgoing in Xenon, and that she was so shy and like reserved and didn't want to like go against the grain. She did not
stand up for herself, and she did not stand up for other people, even though it was clear that she thought was happening.
She didn't want to break the rules. So yeah, I was like, whoa, Xenon, you've changed.
No, didn't bother me that the actor was playing a different role.
Too bad. Who would you most want to hang out with?
I mean, my first thought was Johnny, because he seems like a really cool guy. And then I guess along with Johnny, also Cool Sam, because they seem like they're best friends now. So if you hang out with one, that automatically means you're hanging out with the other. But then Johnny Tsunami, Grandpa, also seems like a pretty awesome dude.
So if you had to pick one, or I guess two, in a tandem deal with Cool Sam and Johnny, who would you choose?
Well, then I have to go for Cool Sam and Johnny.
Okay.
Because you get two.
2 for 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had Johnny Tsunami. He seems very chill and would give very, very good advice, I think.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way.
So we will hang out, and by default, yeah, I'll bring
Oh,
Johnny and Cool
well,
Sam.
like me and you will
Yeah,
hang out.
Yeah,
Oh,
we will
okay.
hang out. I'll bring Johnny and Cool Sam. You bring Johnny Tsunami.
Are you a little concerned that it'll be confusing because whenever someone says Cool Sam, both me and the other Cool Sam will turn around?
No.
You're not concerned about that?
No, because I have a feeling Johnny Tsunami will put you in your place pretty quickly, so you'll just be Sam.
Johnny Tsunami.
And Cool Sam will be Cool Sam.
No. Me and Johnny Tsunami are like this. This is me crossing my fingers, demonstrating how close we are. And he would never do such a thing. And he's the nicest kid and would just be nice to me. So you are wrong.
You keep telling yourself that.
And the last question before we get to hot seat is, what was your favorite scene?
You go first because I'm thinking.
My favorite scene, although it did give me anxiety, was them falling off the cliff and holding on. Because it added some more stakes to the movie, because I thought that Sam might actually get badly hurt. So I did enjoy that, because it also added more camaraderie between the three of them.
Okay. That's a good one. I think I like the scenes, just all of the montages with the snowboarding. Well, first
I just so cool.
Yeah, because that's exactly it. It was so cool. I actually really like watching like the X Games and stuff like that, and watching people snowboard and do really cool tricks. So that was right on my alley.
We've been together for 5 years, and I've never seen you watch a hint of the X Games before.
I don't actively look out for the X Games, and actually we don't have TV now. We just stream everything, so I don't do it. But back when I had TV and channels, if I was slipping through and the X Games was on, that was just my day.
Who was your favorite skateboarder outside of Tony Hawk?
I didn't have one. I didn't know anyone's names.
Oh my God, really?
I didn't follow, like...
Okay, you just liked watching.
I just like watching.
Okay.
Yeah.
You never played Tony Hawk Pro Skater or anything like that?
No.
Wow, that's terrible, Joanna. I'll get my N64 and we'll play it.
Deal.
I loved that game. Me and my brother would play that for hours and hours on end.
Did you ever watch the X Games?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Because it was the same guys in the video game in that thing. It was like Bob Burnquist and like Bucky Lassick and all those, the same guys.
All those dudes.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a guy that does the 900. And they would never do the 900 in real life. But that's a guy that does 900 in the video game.
Also, Olympics, snowboard cross.
You're a big
Yes.
Olympic person. Winter Olympics. Ugh.
I really like watching skiing and snowboarding.
I think one of my favorite tweets is about the Olympics, kind of. And it's like, you're watching figure skating, and like a figure skater does something super, super cool. And you're like, wow, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. That was incredible. And the announcer's like, ooh, she'll be upset with that one. She didn't nail it perfectly. Because you don't know anything about like the technical abilities. You just don't know like what looks cool and what doesn't look cool. And now to my favorite part of the show, hot seat. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay. So hot seat, in case you don't know, is we ask each other a question and that we don't know in advance, and we have to answer it on the spot. So you start.
How badly, when you were younger, did you want to be Johnny Tsunami?
I didn't want to be Johnny Tsunami in terms of surfing, but I wanted to be Johnny Tsunami in terms of snowboarding, because I don't like going in the water. So I feel like I would die if I was a surfer. But I did think it looked really cool snowboarding. So I definitely wanted to be him snowboarding.
Did you specifically want to be him snowboarding, or did you also want to be him in the general sense of like, I want to be the best at something and I want to kick ass at a sport?
I don't know if it was exactly being the best at it, but it was being like, he seemed pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be him in that sense. Like, he was an upbeat guy. People liked him except for the bullies and things. You know, he was just good at things. So I liked that aspect of it.
Okay.
Yeah. And it wasn't so much being like the best, but like being cool and doing cool things. Like snowboarding.
Nice.
So here's my question for you. What is a sport you've never played or taken part in, but you think you'd be really, really good at? Like Johnny Tsunami is at snowboarding after like a week.
Ooh. Well, first, Johnny Tsunami already was an athlete and had really good balance and knew
Sure,
how to
but
navigate.
it was a totally new sport, though,
yeah.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
But,
something you've never done before.
I'm just saying that he had an advantage.
Okay.
Yeah. He knew how to balance and,
Sure.
steer. Something that I would be really good at that I have not tried before.
Or you've done, like, very minimally, we'll say.
Snowboarding.
You think you'd be really good at snowboarding?
I mean, I wouldn't be able to do tricks or anything, but I could make it down a mountain.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that kind of goes in line with the movie then.
Well, we already covered my other question.
Oh, what was the other one?
What do you think this movie is really about?
Oh. Clash consciousness.
Yeah.
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 All right. So now we got Hot Seat done with. Now we're going to go back to your prediction about Johnny Tsunami.
Mm-hmm.
So your first prediction was that it's about a
tsunami that
named-
ravages a city.
The tsunami's named Johnny, though.
Yes.
That kills everyone in some
death
city.
and destruction, and it follows one of the survivors.
Which you were close.
Yeah. Or
There was a Johnny.
there was a Johnny. My other prediction, which I was, really on the fence, kind of thought both were equally possible. My other prediction was that it's about a kid who surfs.
Yeah. Did you see the cover? I think we went over this before we watched the movie.
Yes, I did.
So you saw that he was wearing a Hawaiian shirt
on a
surfboard with a snow mountain behind him.
I hadn't paid enough attention.
Oh, okay.
So I just saw that it was a kid on a surfboard.
Okay. So,
I didn't, the mountains in the background didn't process in my brain.
So we're going to have you guess the next one. Okay. You haven't seen the cover.
No, I haven't.
You don't know the title of the next one.
No, and I did not look.
Okay.
I promise.
So this next movie is called Genius, and it also came out in 1999. What do you think happens in Genius?
Well, there are definitely a lot of lab coats and beakers. I think it's about the person who goes on to create the space station that Xenon lives on.
Very good guess. Okay. All right, so that's your guess about Genius.
Yeah.
Just some things about some of the actors in this movie. So obviously, Brandon Baker is the main character who plays Johnny. He definitely doesn't act anymore, but I think he was in a few other things. He's in the sequel, I'm assuming. I don't think I've ever seen the sequel. Now I think about it, but I guess we'll see.
So it'll be a new experience for both of us.
Also,
Brandon Baker and I have something in common.
What's that?
We both officiate weddings.
Oh, I think you're going to say you're both bakers.
That was so bad.
The father, who was named Pete, which I didn't know the entire movie until I read the cast list.
Oh, I did. The mom says his name a lot.
Oh, I didn't pay attention whatsoever to that.
I did not know the mom's name, though.
Oh, so Pete was in Inception.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother, I have no idea what she was in. The sad part, though, is Cool Sam passed away.
Yeah, that is really sad. He's very young.
I was very upset when I read that.
Yeah.
Right after we finished the movie.
I looked him up first to see what else he was in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's really good. And also the acting in this movie was pretty good.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yeah. Xenon's a really good actress.
Go Kristen Storm. Is that her name? Something like that?
Kirsten. I think Kirsten Storm, yeah.
Okay.
We didn't even talk about these characters. I guess we kind of did. Randy, the guy who works in the store. He plays himself. Well, not himself. He plays Randy and his twin brother.
Yes.
Which I didn't realize when we were watching it. But yeah, so he plays two characters in the movie. A very Olsen twins reverse situation.
More like a Parent Trap.
Very much Parent Trap. Do you know Parent Trap's one of the Disney Channel original movies, but a different Parent Trap?
Really?
No, I'm lying. It was Freaky Friday. I got confused.
Oh my god.
It's the same movie in my mind. And like I said before, the actor who played Johnny Tsunami, he's in every single Ninja movie.
Ninja. Johnny Tsunami, Ninja.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much all I have. Oh, also this movie was nominated for the Humanitas Prize in the Children's Live Action category, but lost.
You know what? It was an honor just to be nominated.
Do you know what won?
What?
Can of Worms.
Ew.
I'm kidding.
I don't even know what award it is, but Can of Worms did not deserve to win.
Is there anything else you want to add for our audience before we go?
I just want to say, go big or go home.
Okay, thanks. Bye.